I think it worked. I think so. If it didn't.
Hi, Alice. How you
Okay.
going? Thanks for joining us tonight. We're live streaming now. Well, it's
We
tonight
are.
for you, but it's today for us.
Yes, there we go. Hello, thank you for accepting our invitation, and thanks to be here. Before everything, I just want to ask you and apologize to you because my girlfriend English is very bad. So that's might be a problem of when we speak, but no worries, we'll correct her and it'll be everything fine.
Yeah, well, it's hard at the moment because I can't hear anything. Can I listen to one of your headphones?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's better. Sorry, we have
Final technical difficulties.
Final technical difficulties. Okay. Can you hear her?
Hi, Alice. How you going? Ah, yes, it's worked.
Okay, now we are 100% on. So, Alicia.
Don't worry.
How is
I
that
respond
though? Because like in English, it's pronounced
Alice.
Alice. Yeah.
Yes.
So how do you go around surviving that?
Yes. Is this Alice or Alicia?
It's actually not that hard. At the beginning, people are a little confused. They ask me, how is that possible? And then I explain to them that CE in Italian is pronounced che, not C Alice, but Alice. And after I say that, they just love the name so much that they just start calling me Alice. So
Okay, well that's
I
good.
respond
that does make
to
it
both,
easy.
but
My name's Alyssa, and people call me
Hi,
Alice.
Alice.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I'm like,
I've
it
heard
looks
that.
nothing like Alice, but yeah, people call me Alice.
Alice.
Yeah.
Well, we're like AAA.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. We
Yes.
joke about that. We
Yes.
say Ali and LA.
Yeah, and she mispronounced, so she called me with her name and
Yeah,
and
because
kind of stuff.
in English, ALE is Ali.
Yeah.
But he's like,
Okay.
no, you're Ali. I'm LA. And I'm like, oh, okay. But even then, when
Very
I say
tricky.
Sandro, he's like, Sandro. It's very Aussie. I'm like, how do you pronounce it? He's like, Sandro. And I'm like, oh, well, that's a bit too fancy for a short name. But anyway, thanks for joining us today, Alice.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, appreciate your time. We were just chatting before we went live, and you're about to move house during the pandemic, which is very brave. How are you going with that?
I mean, it's been a roller coaster, but somehow we made it. And yes, I'm about to move in a new apartment. And that's it, you know. I want to think that the worst part is over for now.
Yeah.
In New York City.
Oh, good.
We're still very conscious and everything, but I really want to think that the worst is, you know, behind us and it's gone.
How's the situation right there in New York?
It's getting better by the day. Every day we have less people in the hospital, less cases, so it's really getting better. The lockdown, we don't call it a lockdown, they call it on pause, New York State on pause. But that really worked because we it's creative. We really had a situation back in March, and now it's incredible how we just, you know,
been able to manage it.
We managed it somehow, and the governor Cuomo always says that it's because of the people. It's us. We stopped the spread. We decided to, you know, we made it work. So it's really nice to see the numbers going down finally after 2 months.
How was New York without people?
You know, it's crazy because on one hand it was a blessing because we'll never see it again like that probably. And I remember especially in March when the lockdowns, the on pause started. Let's call it lockdown just among us, but like the on pause started. It was surreal. The streets were all empty, and you could only see the lines outside the supermarkets.
Okay.
So it was really, it was just surreal. It didn't seem real. And I didn't see much because I tried not to leave my apartment at all. I literally only went grocery shopping every 10 days. but I saw a lot of pictures from friends, and it looked like a movie, like a haunted city.
Yes, finally that happens.
They were like, okay, you're not supposed to go out at night. And I was like, I'm not going to go out at night. There's no one. I'm probably going to encounter a ghost.
Yeah, they always talk about how Melbourne's very similar to New York, and saying like, we went through the city the other day, or last night, or yesterday, just to go to the grocery store. And yeah, it was super quiet, like this bustling city. It's really sad to see. But yeah, like I tried to never get into a line. We never lined up for groceries. Like, just was like, no way, we'll just wait. I started to get stuff delivered home. So yeah.
A lot of people did. It was very hard at the beginning. Like the windows were very hard to get. So you would try to order food and you would get it 3 weeks later. So I had to go out. And honestly, I have to say it wasn't that bad. I never waited for more than 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And I could always find, apart from the beginning where everybody went crazy at the beginning about toilet paper. It was impossible to find flour and toilet paper. Who could have imagined that 2020 was all about yeast, flour, and toilet paper?
Yes.
But after a couple of weeks, we could really find anything. So it was totally fine.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the marketing strategies I've seen recently where they're trying to sell new apartments is, buy here. This is the best place to start making sourdough. And I'm like, wow, what a way to like market an apartment to try and sell to people. They must think this is going to last for ages. So anyway, you're in New York, which is amazing.
Yeah.
How did you find, like, we'll work backwards from here, but in terms of like moving from Italy and then settling into New York, how was that for you? Because it's a massive city, it's very expensive. And then like, how did that all work for you?
It was a shock at the beginning. I can't deny it. It was a shock, especially because I come from Turin and Torino, and it's really not. It's a big town, but it's not as crowded, obviously, as Milan or Rome. So, and apart from that, I was born in a very small town. So I grew up in Torino, but I actually come from a very small town. So I'm a mountain girl. I didn't grow up surrounded by a lot of people. So New York was really a cultural shock, not only because of the city itself, but because there's so many people, because everything moves so quickly that I think they say it takes about a year to get used to the city and to start really understanding how it works. So
and
the first months
were there for?
It's been 5.5 years now.
Wow, that's really long.
Yeah.
That's really
I know,
good.
it doesn't seem like.
Is it easy to stay in America? Because I know for internationals, it's quite hard to stay in Australia. No. You have to go to work on farms.
It's not easy at all.
Yeah.
No, it's not easy at all. I went through 3 kinds of visa, which are all kind of connected to each other. So I had a pretty linear path. I started with a student visa.
Yeah.
So I came here because I went to drama school here. And then what they do is that they offer you an kind of a training after. So it's a 1-year visa where you can start working in your field. And after that, I was sponsored for an artist visa. So I started working.
Okay. You can get sponsored for an artist visa in America. I didn't know that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And there are many ways. I'm not gonna get it. I mean, if we get into that, we might talk about that.
Sure. Also here the Australian visas, but they're gonna bring you to the like passport, or it's just a temporary visa?
So my visa is temporary. It's 3 years, and I'm actually renewing it now. The theater that I work for sponsored me for 3 more years. You can get sponsored by a theater, by a company, by a film production. It really depends. By an American citizen that will offer you work, an agent. So there are many options, but at the end of the day, there are not a lot. Yes. I don't know how to explain that, but
well, congratulations on getting that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. I always say that getting my O1 visa was one of the biggest joy of my life, because I got it based on my career, basically. I had to build an itinerary of people offer me, obviously, like you have to prove that you're going to have jobs for the next 3 years. So They really want to see companies that are interested in your work and working with you. And you have the portfolio that I gave was like this big. I'm not joking.
That's great.
So it's like I felt that it was like writing my thesis for a university all over again. But this time was all about proving that I was worthy of staying in the country.
But it's good to know that you've got security of work for 3 years as well, though, especially as an artist, because that's very difficult to gain to get work.
It is. I really, so you asked me about the passport. In between the visa and the passport, there's still the green card. So the green card is basically you're a permanent resident. Right now, I'm not a permanent resident. I'm a temporary. Non-resident alien. Like I'm an alien, but not a resident one. So basically, if they don't renew my visa, I have to leave the country. So I hope one day I'll be able to apply for a green card. Maybe someone will apply for me, I don't know. And then in the future, maybe the passport. But I'm happy with my European passport as long as I have the working visa or the green card. I'm very happy.
Yeah. So you're obviously planning to stay. You hope that you can stay in New York.
Yeah. Fingers crossed, because I'm applying now in the middle of a pandemic for my visa renewal. So.
Oh, good luck.
Good luck.
So with the amount of work that you obviously had to put forward to be able to stay, what are these projects that you've got locked in, or you had locked in, because I'm guessing this is the end of your first 3 years?
Yes. So what kind of work?
Yeah, what kind of work? So you do voiceover work as well as acting as well. So you, what have you been able to lock in for the last 3 years, and what have you got planned for the next 3 years?
I have planned a lot of theater with the Italian theater that I work for in New York. Something that is important to know is that some more work can come your way while you're on the visa. Like you don't have to strictly follow everything. You will, obviously, because you need to have jobs. But then if something comes your way, like voiceover, you can just add it to your itinerary as you go for the 3 years. It happened to me during this 3 years where I booked a voiceover for Disney, and that wasn't my part. Obviously, I couldn't know of my itinerary, so they wrote a letter for me saying that I was, adding it to my future works, and I was able to do it.
So this current work you've got called Fable Fillers, is that correct?
Fablers? Yeah, yes. Fablers. Yeah.
Can you explain that?
So it's a new company that produces audiobooks and audio dramas. So it's really brand new, and the first project that is going to come out is this Togetherness, which is a collection of original plays from the lockdown. So they're all inspired by the situation we're living in the lockdown, and they're all written by amazing playwrights from New York. And we recorded them from our studios. My personal studio is in my closet. From our studios, both in Italian and in English, with different casts, obviously. I recorded the Italian one, and I think we have 6 to 8 plays. I don't remember the right number, but the first one is coming out tomorrow, and it's the one that
Exciting.
I did.
Okay,
so I'm super excited about it. Yes, and it's gonna be it's like an audio drama. So it's a play that we recorded.
It's great that you can still have work as an artist during coronavirus. So.
Yes, obviously, with the theaters closing, we all had to reinvent ourselves. So I'm very, very, very grateful for the work that I do with the voiceover. Very grateful.
That's good.
Because it keeps.
So is it what's bigger in your life, the acting career or the voiceover career, or it's a bit of a mix?
I think voiceover is acting. I don't see voiceover as
these are different things.
Obviously, it's like asking someone if you do screen or if you do theater. Voiceover is another beast. Like the microphone is a whole new skill that you have to learn. If you worked in theater, that doesn't mean that you're going to be able to transition into the mic and voiceover. But I think the amount of acting is the same. You just need to level it. It's like for screen. If the acting behind is, I think the preparation for an actor is always the same. It's just that you have to tune in with the media that you have in front of you. Do I have a camera? Do I have a stage? Or do I have a little mic where I have to put everything, in my voice?
Interesting.
So, yeah.
So can you talk about back when you were in Italy and how you got into acting and how you decided to go take on this path? Like I think it's like one of the most challenging careers to have to try and pursue.
And why New York?
Yeah, because you always see all the movies about people trying to make it, and you have to do other jobs for ages. Yeah, exactly. So, assuming that you've worked obviously very hard for this, can you put us through that journey from growing up in a creative family to getting all the way to New York?
These are a lot of questions. Okay, I'll try to remember all of them. I feel like, how did you start with acting, and why New York, or
and making it survive?
The path from Italy to the transition from Italy to America.
Let's start from. So why New York? Why New York? Because it's been a dream of mine forever. I grew up watching movies and watching Broadway, not live because we were not as lucky as now able to watch Broadway live from our computers, but watching, I don't know, whatever I could find and grasp from Broadway shows from Italy. So I always had this dream about New York. I never had a dream about LA. I don't know why. Los Angeles didn't interest me somehow, which I feel very bad about that. But I'm sure it's beautiful. But I always had it in me that I wanted to go to New York at some point. And honestly, it happened in a very organic way. I wasn't supposed to move here. I came here for a workshop at the Stella Adler for 3 months. And then while I was in school, they told me they were auditioning for the full program for the drama school. So I did the audition and I got in. And that's how I said, okay, I looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, okay, I think I'm going to be here for the next 2 years. And while I was in school, I fell in love with the city, because before I was in love with the idea of New York.
Yeah.
I didn't know what New York was.
Yeah.
Again, my idea of the city came from movies and whatever I could see of pictures. So living here really shaped me as an artist, as a person, but also shaped my idea of New York. It became real. A lot of people come here and then they just bump into the city, how harsh it is, and then they're like, oh, it's not what I expected. It's not what you expect. It wasn't what I expected, but somehow I fell in love with it again. So I decided to stay, and it worked out. So
what was different from your ideal to the reality?
I imagined that I would have found jobs immediately, that I would go to an audition and just, rock their world. I don't know. I had a very romantic idea of the city. The city stinks. Like, New York is not what you watch in movies. They're not. Yeah, Central Park is beautiful, but New York itself is a stinky spot. It's dirty. Yeah. The subway is always crowded. During winter is horrible. It's so cold. And during summer is so humid. So there are 2 or 3 months a year where you really enjoy being outside. Part of the time you're miserable, and winter lasts 6 months. It never ends. Last year it never ended. I feel it never it just finished now. But so these are the things that I had to, there was a reality check. Oh, okay, well, taking the subway is not as romantic as I thought it would be. It's actually a struggle. So right now it's hard to picture myself 5 years ago and going over all these things, but there are still days where I'm like, oh, I used to think this was going to be, that I was going to feel like that. And actually, It was totally different. So, yeah, these are the main.
Okay.
But it sounds like you've been quite successful in being able to have consistent work.
Thank you.
So how is that, like, how you said your ideal was that, you'd be able to go and, kill all these auditions and they'll all want you and you'll have like all these options to pick from. How much, like, obviously it's been a little bit more work than you thought because you said that ideal was different. So how has that worked for you in terms of being able to find consistent work and smashing auditions?
Also, like, I don't want to say that I thought that I was going to be as good, that New York was going to fall in love with me. I just,
more chances.
It was just the dream that everybody has of coming to New York and going into that audition that will change your career. I've been extremely lucky. I've worked a lot. I worked very hard. But I've also been lucky because I was at the right time in the right place. So I got to work a lot. I got to get a visa. I got to stay. I got to have consistent work through the years, way more than I had in Italy. Because in Italy, I started very young, so I started working a lot, and then for many years, I didn't work. So here in New York, I found a consistency, which is very nice to have for an actor.
Yeah. But and not easy.
No, it's not easy. But definitely, at the beginning, I thought I would get amazing auditions. No, it doesn't work like that. Because why a casting director would want to see the first Italian girl coming to New York when here the amount of talent is incredible. The amount of that was really a reality check when I started going to dance classes. When I got into drama school and I would see these people and be like, wow, so that's the level I have to, level up to. That's where I have to get. And these are not even people that are working, they're here taking classes. So okay.
Yeah.
So that was, I feel that New York makes you very humble because you go to a Broadway show and you see these monsters of, talent, and you just set that goal. That's what I did, at least. I set that goal and I was like, I want to get as close as I can to these people because that's the artist I want to be. So I worked toward that, and I was lucky enough that during the way I got to work too.
Mm. Well, you obviously had some sort of level because, Stella Adler's quite a good school. They were willing to take you on. So, when we were doing a bit of research and we saw, the alumni at the school, it was like, wow, that's a really great school to get involved in. Do you think having the bilingual, like being able to do Italian work as well as English work, that helps you get work?
To get into school or yes,
work,
definitely to get work. Yes. I feel most of the things I do them because I'm bilingual. Either because I'm an immigrant, so I bring the experience of having an accent and being a foreigner, or because I play an Italian character, or just because of the fact that I work with an Italian company in New York. A lot of the voiceover that I do, even if it's in English, sometimes they want some sounds that sound more Italian because maybe it's an Italian company. So definitely, yes, because I'm bilingual, I'm working. Not just because of that, but I'm getting more opportunities.
Yes.
Where your English comes from?
So I'm not saying it's perfect or
it's very
good.
Yeah, it's very good.
You're fluent. Like Sandro, for example, he learned how to speak English from playing computer games and communicating with.
Okay.
That's why my English is so bad.
So when I got here, my English wasn't as good. It was good. It was decent.
So
and
you study. You don't have
like
English backgrounds or American families.
No.
Just
no.
scratch.
Nobody in my family. No. Nobody in my family. My stepdad speaks very good English. Okay. So we used to go a lot to London, and I was lucky enough because they started sending me to summer school in England since I was 14. So I would stay 2-3 weeks with the family there and then come back. And those 2-3 weeks, they don't make you bilingual, but they start getting into your brain. So you start getting familiar with the language, and every year it will get better and better and better. Obviously, having a good English and being able to act in English and being completely fluent, that's another story. I got here that I had a very good English, and then drama school shaped my language, and then I became fluent living in New York. And I feel by now I'm bilingual. Sometimes I know words better in English than in Italian, which is incredible. I feel that when you're bilingual, it's like bilingual, bye. So I created the person that I'm today is someone that has two languages inside. I have two languages inside my brain, and they shape my personality, and they're part of they're part of me. I wouldn't be the Alicia that I'm today without the English language.
Because if I think about that, it's very hard, because one thing is speaking to to the public, or like to socialing, or normal conversation, which mistakes are allowed. Like people, I make a lot, and people can still understand me. I'm making them right now as well. But the other thing is doing for work. Like if you really have to use your voice in a with some certain words, with some specific pronunciation, and transmit your emotion, it's very hard, because with your original language you can improvise. Like I don't know, it reminds me when the teacher calls you next to her to questioning, like maybe you don't know the answer, but somehow you grab words here and there, you put sentence, and you just improvise. But in a different language, it's very hard. It's very hard.
It is. And during school it was very hard, because obviously drama school is supposed to just break you apart and then rebuild you with acting. So it's been a journey, let's say that, because on one hand I feel that because English is not my first language, I go deeper in the script. Because I cannot overlook anything, because every time I have a script I really have to go line by line and see if there's still a word that I don't know or that I'm not sure about. And then about the pronunciation, am I pronouncing it correctly, or like as close to an American as possible. So I really have to go over the script way more, even at the beginning. And sometimes, and that still happens to me, I'm still terrified that on stage, because of nerves, my brain would switch to Italian. Because that happened a couple of times during school, where I would get very emotional. And because emotions are connected to your native language, they will come up in Italian.
Oh, that's interesting.
It doesn't happen anymore, but when I have to put on an accent in English, like I did a Russian character, sometimes my brain, because I had to put a foreign accent on a foreign language for me, sometimes I would just snap and say something in Italian to someone. I don't know if I still need to study the case, but now it happens only if I have to put something on top of the English language, like a foreign accent. So my brain goes, I don't know what you're doing, but that doesn't seem very easy for me right now.
Yeah.
But definitely it's a challenge, and you just have to work on it.
Yeah.
You work on the language, and we did American accent. So we did accent reduction, basically, during school. So we would pass. I would spend 3 hours a day pronouncing words and going over text out loud, so that the language would come as fluent as possible to me while acting.
Yeah. So the way you're saying that, it sounds like there were a number of foreign language speaking students with you. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's correct.
That helps. Yeah.
That helps a lot, because you share the experience of being a foreigner and having to play in another language. So that was really helpful. Plus, apart from that, it's an amazing experience being with people from all around the world. It's just, it feeds you, and it's beautiful. But we all encountered that. We were all struggling at some point, because I remember my American friends saying to me, how do you do that? It's hard for me. This is my language. And sometimes I ask myself, do I do a better job when I act in Italian or in English? Can you see? But somehow I feel that when you're in the character and you have to express something, no matter the language, like the emotions will just pass through you.
Yeah.
What I think it was very important to me, I never forced the language in me. I always try to let the language come to me. I don't know if that makes any sense. But I never forced myself into speaking super American, because I knew that was not going to work for me. I would just lose my personality and lose my truth as an actor and as a human.
You need an accent.
So I still practice, of course, but I always try to let the language come to me naturally. So I think that helped with my acting too, because when I act, you don't hear someone trying to speak another language. hopefully. I don't know, the audience will tell you, but I think that you hear just a character that happens to be from somewhere else, or you don't know where, but that is, telling you her story.
Yeah. So you said that, you would practice for hours. Is that like just in class you would try to practice for hours, or even at home you would speak to the mirror?
No, at home.
Yeah.
At home.
Yeah, because
we use the cork. Mm-hmm. Sorry.
You say you record it?
No, I wish I had it here. Well, I'm about to move, so my house is all packed. But we used a cork. So we put a cork in our mouth and go over text. So it would, for articulation.
How does that work, the cork?
So because you put something, okay, and you start shaking, so it helps you articulate all the world and all the vowels.
Oh, interesting.
Okay, maybe I need one, so I stop too. When I do the podcast.
I'm not a voice and speech teacher, so it really works, and you can find a lot on YouTube videos. Yes, that was my teacher. The first class told us, okay, you get a cork, like a champagne cork, one of those big ones, and then you go over your text with that, and the improvement is incredible.
Amazing. Well, Sandro has many corks at his work, so you can pick different sizes to practice. So I get the impression that there's lots of Italians in New York, kind of like Lady Gaga, national Italians, sort of thing.
Lady Gaga is not Italian.
Oh, okay.
Where did it come from?
I don't know. I thought she was.
Why?
What is she? Is she Jewish?
I don't know.
She's not full American.
Yes, she has Italian background, but she's American.
Yes, that's what I mean. Like she's American. There's a lot of Italian background.
Yeah, that's for sure. There's tons of Italian American.
Yeah,
but when you ask me about Italians, I think about Italians like me and Alessandro.
Yes, traveling
from Italy. Growing up in Italy and then moving abroad.
Yeah,
these are the Italians that usually...
Because we have Italian community in Melbourne, and they're Italians. Like even though they were born here, they're still like, the Italians. That's where they come from. Yeah. So that's what I was gonna be like. A lot of them might also be in acting. So is there any competition with them, or is it still completely separate? It sounds like it's completely separate.
Obviously, if you mean with the Italian Americans or the Italians?
The Italian Americans,
That opens a new chapter, because one thing that happens a lot still in America is that they would cast someone that has an Italian background to play an Italian character, even if they don't speak the language very well. So I would hear an accent in them, and I would be like,
they're not Italian. Yeah.
Not Italian.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not playing a Tennessee girl, obviously, because everybody's going to go like, nope. But I can play the European girl because I'm a European girl. So one thing that happens a lot with Italian characters, especially in big TV shows, is that they will cast someone that is Spanish or that has an Italian background because maybe they have the last name. But then as soon as they start speaking Italian, you go like, no, you're actually not. So that, I think, is something that we should get better at. Not all productions do that. A lot of production if they're looking for an Italian, they want an Italian. They want someone that is perfectly fluent, like native. They want a native speaker. But it happened to me a lot of times where they would look for an Italian, like, oh, she moved from Italy here 4 years ago. And then they would cast an American girl. And I would be like, but that doesn't make any sense, So this is still a huge thing that we're trying to, not solve, but like address in New York, especially because that's where I live. When I see a German character, I expect to see a German actor because I want someone that is authentic in the language. Especially, and obviously I'm talking about if they're speaking a different language. I get very upset when I see people not speaking very good Italian. I saw a Broadway production actually where they were supposed to be Italian, and their Italian was just, I couldn't understand a single word. And I don't think that's fair to all the Italian actors that are really Italian, or maybe they're even Italian Americans, but they speak perfect Italian. So why not cast them?
Yeah.
So that's something that I'm very passionate about.
Yeah, and you can also see when the movie or the production comes out, because you can address, especially if you're Italian or if you know Italian, like you can tell straight away that he's not Italian, like he just say random words in a language that it doesn't like understand at all. So
exactly. That's why I appreciate so much when I see production where they actually cast Italians, first of all, because there's more work for us here, but because I feel it gives, it's the right thing to do.
You think that it should be pretty straightforward. If there's an Italian production company, it should be easy to be able to find an Italian actor or artist to be able to fill the role. So I can see why that can also be frustrating in that way as well. So I'm still interested to know how you got into acting from when you were in Italy, from your creative family, because you also have in your resume that you did sculpture. So it's like, why did you study that and specialize in that, but you then still ended up in acting? Yeah.
Yes. So I started very young. I started that I was 12, acting when I was 12. So somehow I grew up with the idea that I was going to be an actor at some point. It's something that I always wanted to do. That didn't mean anything though, because I still had to go to school. So I still had to go to high school. I still had to go to university. My family was very passionate about me getting a degree, because obviously acting is so uncertain. So and I was a good student. I always loved studying, and now looking back, I'm really happy that I really get that done in the best way for me, because that helped a lot in my career right now. So when I had to choose from high school, I was already kind of working as an actress. So I wanted to choose something that was as close as possible to the arts. Now my mom is a painter, and she's she's a professor in middle school of Storia dell'arte. I think it's history of arts. Yeah. So art and history of art. So I always grew up around her painting and drawing. So when I had to choose, I chose the art school, and I chose as a field sculpture. That's how it happened. Why? I don't know. I really liked it, and I ended up being pretty good. I actually sold a couple of sculptures during school.
Oh, very good.
I just feel that it was impossible for me to go from acting in the afternoon and then straight high school during the day. It's hard to explain, because in Italy we have high school is it's called liceo, lyceum. So basically you have very different fields in each one of them. There's one that is more math and science oriented, and one that is more classic oriented. And immediately I was like, I think I should do the classic oriented, because I really like studying. I like to study Latin and Greek. And then I thought about it, and I realized I just can't spend the next 5 years studying 5 hours a day Greek and Latin, because I will not have any time to do what I really want to do in my future. So I chose the high school that was the closest to what was my whole universe, which was the arts.
The one you grew up with.
And I also grew up with it. So it was a language that, I don't know, it was a language that was very familiar to me.
Yeah.
And I loved every second of it. And having done sculpture and spending that much time drawing, really, I don't know, it made me a better observer. So now when I think about a character, sometimes I draw it before, because I just look at people and I draw them in my notebook, and then I get inspired by that. So everything in life comes together at some point.
Yeah.
Even the high school that I did, even sculpture, that you think, what does sculpture has anything to do with acting? I think somehow it helped me. That helped me too.
Okay. And I've got a question for you. As you're doing, as we said before, you're doing different kind of jobs, because we looked up your resume, kind of, and we see that you played in movies and also theater, and then you have the voiceover acting. So which one is your which one you like the most?
Favorite.
Your favorite, yes. Thank you.
Alessandro, if I was to ask you, what's your favorite video game? Would you be able to respond?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, you could even ask him what's his favorite dish to make. He will have one. His favorite thing to eat.
No, I understand. I understand your point. It's different. It's different from the different genre. So
it sounds like you like theatre and Broadway though the most. Is that what you try to seek out, or?
So that was my first love. Like theater was what brought me to acting. That's how it all started. I have to say, I really, really, really love voiceover. It's how I actually, most of my jobs right now are voiceover, and I've done a lot in the past 2 years. And it's something that I really love. I have to say, if I had to choose only one, probably I would choose cinema. I would choose movies.
Interesting. Yeah.
Why is that?
Instinct. I don't know. Okay. I could not choose. I could not let one of them go. I don't think I'm able to do that right now. I'm too selfish. I love them all for different things. I would choose movies just because it's something that there's still so much that I want to do. There's still so much that I want to experience on set. And not that I experienced all of that in theater, but because I've done more theater, I feel it's something that is more close to me. So right now I want to do something different. I would love to do, even though I was very lucky to do some TV and some movies, I would really love to get like a recurring character for a TV show, being able to come back episode by episode, keep on working on the character. I would love to do that right now. If you would tell me, okay, you have to choose between going to New Zealand for 6 months to shoot a TV show for HBO or do a Broadway show, I'll probably choose the TV show. I mean, we're talking about dreams. A girl can dream during a pandemic, but I'll probably choose the TV show right now.
Okay. And when you come
it's hard. It's a hard question.
When it comes to acting, either any of those sectors, is it hard? Like, is it a hard job, or it's something that comes up naturally?
Okay, so you mean for an audition, for instance?
Yeah, even acting for a movie, it's like the role and the job. Is it hard per se, or is it like more of I know my job and I just walk through it?
It's like,
or just something that you're really
that you love
you're really to focusing on it and study for it and work and just wait for it.
It's a hard question also. I feel that the moment you think that you have it all figured out, it's the end of it. It's the end of you as an artist. Sometimes I find myself into that. When I do voiceover, just because I've been doing it a lot, I get a little cocky and I'm like, yeah, I got this. And then I look at myself and I think, no, wait. This is going to be very bad. If I do it like that, it's just going to be boring and it's not going to bring anything more. So I feel that even if I'm comfortable with it, I adore acting. It's my life. I couldn't live without it. I love it. I'm comfortable. I always try to put myself in a situation of not being comfortable so I can find something new. I feel that when you do a show for 100, when you do 100 shows of the same show every night, if you don't challenge yourself a little, you're going to get so bored. And the audience is going to get so bored because the performance is not going to be alive. So, of course, okay, it's my job. I know what I'm doing. But I feel you always have to find that thing that triggers something in you so you find something new or something different. Otherwise, the performance is dead. There's nothing sparkling underneath. I think I gave my best performances when I was the most scared and the most, not scared because I was scared in real life, but because I was, oh my God, where am I going? What am I doing? When I was doing something where I was pushing myself towards something new. That's, I think, I think it's something that all actors can relate to. When you push yourself towards something that is not that comfortable, then it's when the game gets fun and the performance is is willing.
Yeah, it's interesting what you said about like with Broadway shows or in theatre, you're performing the same thing over and over for maybe 2-3 weeks. That's always a question I have too. Like we like to go see live comedy as well, and it's like because we know that they've been traveling around the world and doing the same show, and they still have to try and get the same reactions. Does it get boring? Like can that repetitiveness get difficult? Like you said, you do try to push yourself. Or does it just become easier because you're so familiar with it and you just have to pretend it's the first time every time?
The only show that I did for a very long time was Pippi Longstocking in Italy. We did 111 shows.
Wow.
11 is my favorite number, by the way. And there were 11 of us in the cast. So that was a magical moment.
It was meant to happen.
And it was meant to happen. So I remember getting bored someday and being like, that feels... But then you have to realize how lucky you are being able to be on stage every day doing what you love when there are thousands of actors that have no jobs. Yeah. Not because they're not good, just because they weren't given the chance. So I think that at that point you can step back and think, okay, maybe that's boring because I did it literally 100 times. But it's still, the audience changes every day. The reaction they're going to have is different every time. The way you deliver a line can be every time different. And this is something that I learned over the years. I'm not saying that I was like that when I was 19, but definitely because we were playing for a lot of kids, sometimes I would say, I'm so lucky. I get to wake up every morning and do this that I love and that I've done 100 times and I'm so comfortable doing. So, maybe sometimes I got bored and I thought, I want to do something different. Now I look back and I think, Alicia, I should even enjoyed more that time. But now every time I step into a show, I really try to be grateful for every performance that I have, even if it's the 10th, the 11th, the 12th. And the magic is gone after a while. But I try to find the magic again. And
you really do. So you really do need to feed off the audience as well to be able to keep that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm that kind of actor.
Yeah. The validation.
I'm very empathetic. So I feed my acting with what I have around me. So when I'm on stage, I really get inspired by the energy of the audience. If I see that the audience is bored or like not reactive, I will get something inside me will start to be, okay, what can I do to make it more interesting? And I always try to connect to the people that come to the theater and see, okay, let me see, what can I do to connect to you more? How can I get to you? I don't know any of them in the audience, but I always try to picture one person. I'm like, how can I tell this to you? And that, I don't know, makes it a little bit more alive. Sorry, my phone. Stop. I don't know if I answered the question. But...
Yeah, you did. Like, because that's something I always think about. I'm always trying to, always thinking, I know that these people have been doing this for ages because I go to the ballet a lot as well, Yeah. So it's like, they've been doing this often. How are they able to put that same amount of energy into it? Like, it must be really hard.
But I think about that when I go see a show. And I think, I hope they're delivering the same performance for me too.
Yeah.
And so I try to, exchange places when I'm on stage. And I'm like, every person that come every night deserves to have the best of me. Yes. Why the person that came yesterday, had a better performance than tonight? Of course, you're not going to give 100% every night. That's impossible. We're humans. There is a day where you're tired and your head hurts and you just had bad news. So the performance will maybe not be 100%. But what I try to do every time is to deliver the best that I can do that night. Because it's fair to whoever paid a ticket to come and see the show and the work that all the other people around me are doing.
Yeah. I guess that's what differentiates every artist from the ones that probably don't have work. Because it was interesting how you said, you know, it's not like that people are bad actors or bad artists. It's just that the opportunities are different. So what do you think that you did differently to be able to get these ongoing opportunities that, you know, a lot of artists can't?
I don't have a lot of rules for myself, but I'm very demanding on what I do. So I work a lot. I'm always prepared. It's very unlikely that you will find me unprepared because I demand a lot from the work I do. I believe in acting a lot. I think it's a job. I think it deserves to get paid. So I think the least that I can do is be 100% prepared whatever I do when I go to an audition. So the few things that I demand from myself are professionalism, always. You see, like, that's Italian. Slip.
It was coming
I
out
almost
the
said
sempre.
because it's getting. So I always try to be on time. I mean, anything can happen, but on time. I always get to audition or rehearsals, if I can, very early, so I can be there and get ready. I'm always trying to be off book all the time. These are very practical things, but I think sometimes people take it for granted. And I do the work before showing up. Even for the smallest auditions, I treat it as a big one. Because you never know. Sometimes I did projects for a short movie that wasn't paid that brought me to something bigger 2 years later. So that comes my second rule, which is never underestimate the people that you're working with. Because in the project, because sometimes you might think, oh, but it's just a commercial. It's just this. No, it's not just that, because that person, if they like you, they're going to call you back in 2-3 years, maybe. And with me, that happened a lot. So either they're crazy or I did something good when I worked with them. So
yeah, networking gets you very far.
So I'm not really good at networking, actually. So I'm very bad at proposing myself. But when I work with someone, I give it all. I'm prepared. I'm on time. I'm available to work. I try to give 100% of myself. And that usually is the networking that I create. Yes. Not the ones that I create to people that I don't know, but with the people that I work and then call me back because eventually they enjoyed working with me. So I think that's where my body of work comes from, people that have been calling me constantly. And the third one, it's just I dared to try and do something. So I was daring. I came to New York. I could have stayed home. I sent my resume to 1,000 agents in New York. I could have just sent it to 10. No, I tried to, sometimes I try to get over myself and be brave, which is something that sometimes actors tend to, oh, I don't know, maybe what if they say no? Who cares if they say no? Just do it.
Yeah.
So
that's what we're doing with the podcast.
And you're doing great. You're doing great because you have to dare. You have to try. And then if it doesn't go, fine. They're gonna forget about you in two hours.
Yeah.
But send an email. If there's someone you want to work with, send an email. Go to the audition. It's hard. I might not get it. The material is hard. Just go anyway. Get over yourself and go. So it's hard to tell you what made me work the most. These are my 3 bricks, of the wall. So that's what I do every time. So eventually, these are the reasons why I was able to work.
Yeah, and they're like definitely things that can be put into anyone's sort of life to be able to go somewhere. Like you really do need to apply those 3 things to be able to get anywhere or to be able to be successful in anything. That's what makes a difference.
Speak more closer to the microphone.
Okay, I will. So
here, I don't know if you saw it, but here is night now. Like
it looks quite dark.
It's dark now. Finally, at 8:50 p.m. We're in the middle of the night, New York night, the city that never sleeps. Sorry.
It's sleeping now.
Yes.
It's sleeping for the last 2 months. That's for sure. So, the general thought about artists is that they, they're all divas. So how was it like making friends for you, especially, going to New York where everyone's trying to be successful? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't see myself as a diva at all.
Yeah, you don't seem like a diva.
No, you don't.
I'm really not. I'm more of the clown in the room.
But when you're working with other people and trying to get auditions and competing and working together.
That's something beautiful about New York, is that you're no one, basically. Nobody's anyone in New York. There's always going to be someone better than you. And most people come here to prove themselves, and they come from all around the world, all around the country. So I don't think there's a lot of space for divas in general. Of course, I've met a couple.
Yeah, of course.
I don't do well with them. It's not something, and probably I've been a diva a couple of times and I didn't even realize. I don't know. But I think that the city beats you down at the beginning, and you kind of let the diva go, and you just focus on the work and on building your community, because the community of people that you build around you are the one that are going to keep you alive in a city like New York, and in general in a business like show business. I've done a lot of work with people that I met in school. Okay. I co-produced shows, and they call me to do stuff, and I call them to help me with things. And they gave me an audition that I didn't know about. So I think that putting on the side yourself and being competitive, yes, you have to be competitive, but I always think I have to be competitive with myself. Because I can't be competitive with everybody in New York City. That's a lost cause. There's always going to be someone better than me. It's impossible that I'm the best. Impossible. So I just try to be competitive with myself and do my best for that role. And then if it goes to somebody else, that's fine. I'm going to get the next one. Or not. or nothing.
What about on the set? Like on a set of a movie? The relationship with your colleagues, that are people that you don't know and you never seen before, probably most of the time. Yeah. So how's the connection with them? Like you hanging out a lot with them, or you just it's just like you see each other on set, and then after you finish the scene, like okay, see ya, and you go for your part, or it's sort of a community in the set?
Set is weird because it depends on how long you are on set. If it's a 1 day thing or 2 days, 3 days, you don't really have time to build these relationships. So it's more of, okay, now we have to
I go and do my
engage
job
in the scene and do it. So on that hand, theater is more intimate because you have the whole rehearsal, so you grow close to the people. Set, it really depends on set. I think it really depends on the time you spend.
Okay.
I've done a project in Valencia, and I spent there 3 months, and by the end of it, we were a family because we spent every single day on set together. But then I've done so many projects where I was there only for 1 day, and I don't even remember the name of the people that I worked with, because I saw them literally for 2 seconds on in front of a green screen. So I think it really depends on the time. I don't know if I answered your question. If it was more.
And how generally how did you find the filmmaker, the producer on set? They are harsh, or they're like easygoing, or it depends?
It depends on the director.
Okay.
Some of them are
they can be
like
harsh?
a big daddy. They can be hard. Yeah, I had some directors that were very harsh. I think the business is going toward a direction where the harsh director is no longer a thing. Mm-hmm. I still think it's better to demand a lot, but be kind to your actors, because nobody works well with someone like screaming at you and being mean. I don't think I'm thinking actually if I don't think I ever had a director that was mean to me. Only on film. In theater, yes, but on film, I think they were all very kind. Most of the time, directors in film, they're not actors. They more likely are technicians. Yes. So they come from editing or obviously filmmaking, but it's it's very unlikely that will come from, like, an actor will become a filmmaker. There are very few. So I don't think they have the ego of the actors. While on theater, so many times directors come from acting, so they tend to have a little bit more ego. So
they picture themselves in the scene, and I should have done this.
I have to say, in New York, it never happened to me. Okay. All the directors I worked with were phenomenal and were amazing. In Italy, I did work with a couple of directors that were a little bit of harsh with
I think it's the Italian personality. It's the strong passion.
Yeah,
a lot of
expensive
things.
It's already such a hard job, you know. Why making it hard? In New York, I worked with directors that I was like, oh my God, how are you so nice? We're not getting the scene right. How are you so nice? So chill, obviously, they were demanding, but they were still so, you know, they were compassionate, which I think it's what a director has to be. Demanding, but understand that you have human beings trying to put their emotions in front of people.
That's good. That's very nice. Yeah.
So just before we started streaming live, you were also talking about how your partner got stuck in Italy because of the coronavirus. So how has this transition been with, you know, you moving from Italy? Do you miss home a lot and your family? Yeah. I
do a lot, especially right now, because I'm not able to go. It's hard. I miss Italy every day, and I think I have a piece of Italy with me all the time. Either if I try to cook something, or because I have a picture, or because I have it in me, basically. But what I try to do is I just FaceTime with my family a lot, and every time I go back, I try to make the most out of it, because it's always a very limited time. I go for 3 weeks, or a month,
and that's yearly as well.
I try to go twice a year when I can.
Oh, that's very
very lucky. So I go for Christmas. I'm not missing. I missed Christmas once, only 1 year, and it was horrible. I was here alone in New York, and I mean, it was an experience.
Christmas in New York, it's pictured like the best Christmas in the world from all the movies, like lights and
your
stuff.
face.
That's another thing. That's another thing that they don't tell you when you move here. No, it's beautiful. If you're a tourist and you're with your partner and going around the city, it's beautiful. But if you're alone and you wake up on Christmas Eve or any of the celebration days and you're alone, that's not as nice. I had my friends, obviously, but I feel Christmas is to spend with family. I would picture my family getting together and eat. So Italian of me. And I was here making, I don't know, pasta with pesto. So I obviously miss Italy. The moments I miss it the most is when they're having birthdays and I can't be there. And,
the gatherings.
The gatherings, yes. My friends, because obviously for Christmas I get to go, for the summer I get to go, but I can go every month. So I'll always miss something. And that's the thing that I think is the hardest when you're an immigrant and when you're abroad, that you're always going to miss something. No matter how many times you go back home, there's going to be a birthday you miss, there's going to be a graduation that you miss, a wedding, and that's just the pay you have to price for being abroad.
Yeah. Well, you're very fortunate that you're able to fit it into your schedule to be able to go home twice a year. I don't know whether that's because, it's much
even closer.
So close, New York, to be able to fly back home to Italy.
Sometimes it was for work. So I was able to keep a couple of connections to Italy. So for instance, in August, I host a film festival. Yeah. So that's why, with the excuse of going for work, I stay a week or two more and I see my family.
Yeah. So is that through the previous networks that you've built, or like you have an agent there that still looks for work for you in Italy as well?
I did. I don't have it anymore.
Yeah.
But I do have an agent in Amsterdam. Because
cool.
I really wanted to keep a connection with Europe.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if I'm going to be staying here forever. Obviously.
Is that your intention though? You want to? Or
I mean,
Still not sure.
It's hard. It's hard. I would love to stay here and build my life in New York, but who knows? I'm an actor. I go where the work is. I don't know if tomorrow I'm gonna have to go to Germany or Amsterdam. That's the biggest dream, being able to travel for work. And for now that I'm young and I don't have kids and I don't have, yeah, of course I have a relationship, but we're both actors, so we understand it. I want to squeeze in the much that as much as I can. When I went for work to Spain for 3 months, it was amazing. I loved every second of it. So yes, I want to stay here for as long as US will let me, and that I will have jobs. But I also consider other opportunities. If something comes up in Europe, I want to be able to go there. I'm still European, and I don't know if I see myself here forever.
Yeah.
I see myself here now. So that's why I always try to keep connection both with Italy and with this agent in Europe. But yes, my agencies are all here in New York. So,
we have a guest question.
Yes. Oh my God.
Yeah, cool, huh? So they've asked, what's your most favorite role that you've played?
Oh, it's like choosing your child.
Sounds like it's just as hard as you choosing your favorite type of acting too.
I know. Okay, so this might sound very silly, but it was a voiceover that I did for Disney. That was my favorite character. I played this little Italian Vespa, and one of my biggest dreams when I was little was to play to give my voice to a Disney character for a movie or for whatever it was.
Oh, that's amazing.
And I got cast in so I did this Mickey Mouse shorts, and I got cast in this little Italian Vespa, which didn't really have lines because she was just speaking in. It was so fun, and I loved the hell out of that little Vespa. So yes, that's a role that really I really loved playing. But apart from that, I played a role in a show called My Mother's Heart in theater. That was a very demanding role. It was a teenage girl that basically killed her father.
Were you the teenage girl character?
Yes, I was the teenage girl.
Wow, that's
I'm
intense.
not saying that I loved every minute of it, but it was an opportunity that just
get into something new.
Yes. Yes.
Wow, yeah, that's really
so
intense.
it was a stretch, and I love stretches. I love going out of myself to play something that is very someone that I'll never be in life. I'll never be a killer in life. I can't even imagine that. But that was a challenge. Obviously, on the opposite side of playing the Italian Vespa, that was silly and fun. That role really made me grow a lot because I really had to dig deep into myself and find something that I didn't think I had, and then came out of me. So I'll always cherish those memories, not because of the character itself, but because of what evoked.
Okay, and most of usually the emotions that comes up to you, because you need emotions in order to act and to make it real. Are they fake, or there's something that you're bringing up from somewhere?
Memories.
Yeah.
There's a huge discussion about that on the method, because what you're talking about is very close to the Strasberg method, where you look for your own memories to portray a character. The school that I did, the Stella Adler, actually does something a little different. So we use imagination to recreate emotions. I have to say, for me, that was way more healthy, because I don't want to go in my past and look for the worst moment of my life and recreate that every time on stage I have to cry. That's just not how. I am sure it works for a lot of actors. It doesn't work for me. So the school really helped me shape that, and the Stella Adler method really worked for me because it gave me the chance to use the emotions that I had inside of me, but imagine the situations without hurting myself. I could step out of the character and be like, okay, I'm fine. Yeah. That wasn't real. That was acting. So what what I try to do every time and when I was playing that role, that's why it was so important, because I had to step into the mind of a killer, of a teenager girl that was completely out of her mind, and understand why, the reasons why. If I had to go in that character every day and use my own experiences, I would have gone crazy by the end of the production. Yeah. I would have been depressed. I'm not saying it wasn't easy, but I was just trying every time to step into the character, step out of the character. That's her, that's me. And when I have to bring up emotions that are very extreme, and when you ask this question, I think you imagine when you have to have a big scene where you have to cry or love someone. I do not picture something that really happened to me, but I try to recreate in me the emotions that I had, because we all suffered, we all cried, we all loved, hopefully. So yes. I go back to how it feels like to lose someone that you love, and then that just goes through you. I feel an actor is like water. You have to let everything pass through you. Like you look at the surface and you see water, and then at the bottom you see shells and little rocks, and you're just the water that lets it pass.
Okay.
I try to let I try to let emotions be in the rock inside of me that just come up when you need to see them.
But I think that's really interesting though, because when you're playing a character, like you said, a teenage killer, how do you research for that when those emotions probably have never, like you will never experience in real life, and you will have never had in the past before either. Yes, so that's why the imagination helps. But then as well, it's like how do you research for that?
But you probably you hated someone in your life. You felt hate. We all did. So when I was working on that, and with the director, we worked a lot on that. On when was the time you really hated something? How did it feel? How did it feel like? And obviously, I never used my parents. No, like my parents, I never bring them into my acting. It's not fair to them, because then I would step out and hold it against them. No, they don't deserve that. I don't think about my dying cat if I have to cry. But the feeling of frustrations of not getting what you want, which is what teenagers experience all the time. We all had it. And I just took that and brought it to the extreme. And there comes the character.
Yeah, that makes
so
sense.
Angry and so mad, not being able to control life and what is happening to her. So I think it's all about levels, you take something and then you make it expand into you. And that's obviously the job of the actor, and it's why it's so hard. It's why like people spend years and years and years and months preparing a character, because you really have to look into yourself, and I think it has to be healthy. We have to be happy. Acting is already hard. There's already a lot of rejection. So I think the least that we can do is make it good for ourselves and enjoyable.
Yes. Okay, Alicia. So we come to the conclusion. I
talked a lot.
Yeah, no,
that's what we wanted.
Good. That's
exactly what we wanted. There's still so much more we could ask.
Yes. We're trying to give like 90% of the space to the guests or to the people who comes to visit us, because
it's all about your art. It's all about, for you to display yourself in a gallery.
Yes. So
I mean, it was. I love to have guests. Like a question by the guest. Wow, someone is following.
I think the beauty of the live stream that we can have that benefit. Yes.
So just want to thank you, Martina, as well, that address me to you.
Put us in
my
touch.
Schoolmate.
Oh, very good.
You see, life, community.
Connections.
Community of people, connection.
It's important.
Yeah, we are watching right now Communities on Netflix as well. Very fun.
I just finished, actually, I suggested to you, I just finished a show, speaking of acting. It's called Hollywood. It's on Netflix.
Yeah, I've seen it. We haven't started yet, but maybe. Yeah. Is it good?
Yeah, it's really good. I finished it last night and I cried like a baby. So.
Oh, okay, maybe we'll consider that.
Yes.
No, it's not. It's not. I mean, it's not sad. It's just as an actor, I was like, oh, yeah. I totally understand that. I've been there.
You picture yourself in there.
In their shoes.
Well, thank you very much, Alicia. It was great for you to give us your evening, and good luck with your move. And yeah, hope to see you on our screens soon.
Oh, hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully, as soon as they reopen the sets and the theaters.
And then we'll reach out to you again to come talk about that.
Yes.
Yeah, hopefully we're going to talk about a specific project next time.
Yes.
I would love to.
Thank you for coming, and wish you the best of the luck. Yes.
Thank you.
We're going to eat mortadella now, so
yeah,
it's going to be a great
day. Send something, please. Send just a little box with some mortadella and some...
You don't have a traditional Italian supermarket you can go to in New York?
We do, but it's very far from where I'm now, so I try to move as little as possible. Yes. But I'll find some Italian food. My grandma is always eager to send me a package with Italian food.
That's good.
Well,
as we say in Italian, pacco da giù. What's inside the package?
Oh no, I'm saying we'll send you a package.
Yeah, we'll send you
well.
the mortadella.
If Alessandro doesn't eat all the mortadella.
Please don't eat all the mortadella. Send some to your friend in New York.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Alicia.
Have a great night and good luck.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.